Oh, I don't have. All right, so welcome everybody in person and via Zoom. Happy 2023. I am going to initially turn this right over to the task force president, Carol Newton, for her part.
Introducing.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Newton, and I'm the member of the Livable Neighborhood Task Force Executive Board, the president. And I wanted to introduce you to Kayla this morning. She is our new director. So I have some informative information regarding her. She is very interesting. Kayla Howard came to the UG from Mid-America Regional Council, the MARC Department of Aging and Adult Services, where her work focused on managing programs serving older adults and people with disabilities on the Kansas City, Missouri side of the metro. She has over 10 years of experience navigating community resources and government funding programs while working with older adults, with individuals with disabilities and people whose incomes are below the federal poverty threshold. Kayla holds a BS, Bachelor's in Family Studies and Human Services from Kansas State University, and Master of Public Health from the University of Missouri in Columbia. Kayla is married to her husband, Charles. They have 2 children, Maxwell 5 and Cora 2. And they have lived in Kansas City, Kansas for almost 2 years. So Kayla says, if you have any questions, just feel free to call her.
Yeah. I'll get back to you. And I might not have the answer right now, but I'll find out. Well, thank you, Carol. And it's nice to meet everyone.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet everyone in person here and virtually. So our next part of the morning here is a presentation by Michael Farley. He's an ordinance studies specialist with the UG on short-term rental licensing.
All right, Kayla, thank you very much. And thank you everyone at the Livable Neighborhoods meeting here. Like Kayla said, my name is Mike Farley. I'm with the Department of Planning and Urban Design as the ordinance site specialist, and I've put together a presentation regarding the research, input, and development that we've done related to short-term rental regulations. So it looks like I can get my screen shared here. All right, so I know I got 10 minutes. I'll try to be quick on this. So, I mean, briefly speaking, I think we're all aware of short-term rentals or STRs. This is where that a house could be rented out for less than 30 days. So this would not be a long-term lease. This is kind of your thing that you're doing through Airbnb, VRBO, Homestay, those sort of third-party apps. And that's what has allowed for the rise of short-term rentals in Wyandotte County in the last 10 years. A lot of that has come from the fact that it's very easy for private citizen to rent out their own home using a third-party website to someone halfway across the country who can come in here, drive straight to their house, stay there for a couple days, you know, maybe go see a Chiefs game and then leave. While this has been beneficial for a lot of homeowners and people buying up second properties, this has been very difficult to regulate because we're not talking about storefronts or local advertising. This is all done online. Transactions are all done online through these third-party apps, and you're going straight to someone's home and leaving. So this has led to some some difficulties in how we regulate short-term ordinances or short-term regulations. And so we're creating new ordinances in order to clarify how short-term rentals can be used in a variety of settings. Currently, short-term rentals are being addressed through our special use permit process. So this is a process that can be used for a variety of different special uses. So uses that are allowed in certain zoning districts, but exceed what's allowed by right. So you have to still come before the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners in order to get approval for this. And these are on a temporary basis. So as you can see from here, if you're an owner occupied property, we'll start you off with you can get a 2-year permit. Then next time you come back, 5 years, 10 years. Non-owner occupied properties typically start off at 1 year and then go 2, 5, 10. So already for the last couple of years, we've been making a distinction between owner occupied properties and non-owner occupied properties. As well, we do have a third party company called Host Compliance Granicus that we use in order to track short-term rentals across the county. So this is a brief screenshot of kind of the growth of short-term rentals that I took earlier this week. As you see, as of right now, about 178 different short-term rentals have been identified as being advertised online through various websites within the entire county. So a couple could be in Bonner Springs and Edwardsville, but we assume the most are going to be in Kansas City, Kansas. Of those, we only have about 50 special use permits on file, and only about 4 of those, if even, are owner occupied short-term rentals. So obviously our levels of enforcement are pretty low right now in terms of actually getting people to comply with the current ordinances, and hence the need for revisions. We've also noticed that there's been concentration of short-term rentals in primarily 2 parts of the county, in Strawberry Hill and in the Rosedale neighborhood, as you can see from these maps, again, provided by Granicus. So that's another thing that we want to do, is address concentrations or high level density areas of these short-term rentals that could have an outstanding effect on the communities that they're in. Now, in developing a new robust short-term rental ordinance, there are several different kind of principles or contexts that we want to consider. The one I really want to acknowledge is the second bullet point here, addressing, that put me ahead, addressing enforcement. We've been listening to a lot of different neighborhoods and community leaders and members of UG departments, and there's a lot of talk about the need for more enforcement of these current short-term rentals. We do need to acknowledge that we do have finite enforcement resources. The planning department itself only has 2 zoning enforcement officers, one of whom was just hired last year. And for the property maintenance compliance division, I know they have several more enforcement officers, but they also have lots of other things that they need to take care of. So we have understood that enforcement cannot be the end all be all in terms of regulating these short-term rentals. We need to find ways to make it easier for people to comply with the requirements to begin with. And that's what we were focusing on as well as also addressing, balancing issues of neighborhood character, other neighbors, that are in the surrounding area with the rights of existing property owners and everything like that. So there's a lot of factors that we want to take into place, but I did want to emphasize that enforcement one because that has come up a lot in my discussions. We've also looked at pure state comparisons, both within the Kansas and KC metro areas, as well as throughout the country. So this is an example of some of the other short-term rental ordinances that we've looked at from different cities. And like I said, too, we've done some local outreach with neighborhood groups, with short-term rental owners. This has been presented previously before the Administration Human Services Standing Committee, as well as the Board of Commissioners, or excuse me, the Planning Commission. And then they'll return before those once we have a full ordinance developed. So all that to say is what we've come up with so far, and what I will be presenting next is what we call an owner-centric approach to short-term rental permits based on building typology and zoning district. And so that's a mouthful. And basically what that means is we're going to be focusing on properties that are owned by the homeowner that people are actually living on and utilizing as an accessory use to their primary use, which is someone living there. And so that will take precedent. and I'm going to present an example of what that ordinance would look like. So keep in mind that I might use definitive terms, but nothing has been passed yet by the Board of Commissioners. This is nothing set in stone. So that's why we're still here for feedback and just want to understand kind of how everyone feels about this, what suggestions could be made and everything like that. So again, don't worry too much about the details on this, but just kind of look at the overall model as I explain it. So the new change that we are doing here, moving away from just the sole special use permitting model, would be to do a dual approach permitting system. The first would be an administrative level. That'd be a simple annual form that someone could fill out. It would be fewer requirements than a special use permit. And again, this would be mostly for owner occupied properties. The next level would still be a special use permit. So I mentioned it before, but for those of you not familiar with our special use permit process, it does take about 90 days. It starts with the planning department. It involves neighborhood meetings for neighbors within 200 feet of the property, and then eventually ends with a meeting before the City Planning Commission, and then final approval or denial by the Board of Commissioners. Again, approximately 90 to 120 days when it's all said and done. So it takes a lot longer, and again, it has much higher level of review and different inputs from different community members and departments. Additionally, too, we would also be updating definitions. So again, we're talking about owner-occupied properties and actively owner-occupied properties. Actively owner-occupied properties would be if someone's actually living on site while the short-term renter is there. So this would be distinguished from owning your house and then going on vacation for 2 weeks and renting it out while you're gone. This would be the use of a back bedroom and bathroom, perhaps an accessory dwelling unit. They're known as like mother-in-law suites, granny flats, things like that could be above a detached garage in the rear of the house. So lots of kind of different ways to look at owner occupancy, and we do want to distinguish those in this code. So as I mentioned here, the first level would be administrative review. I went through this already. Based on owner occupancy, or we're also looking at having, if there's just a single short-term rental on a block, regardless of the ownership model, whether that's an on-site owner or a remote owner, we are looking at having that be an administrative review as well, because it's such a low concentration in that neighborhood if it's just one on a block. For single-family residences, I'd say this is probably 95% of all short-term rental permits that we get right now are single-family homes. So an administrative review, as I sort of mentioned, would be using extra bedrooms in the house after the kids go off to college or something, or using that accessory dwelling unit above the garage, or being the only short-term rental on the block. We've adjusted the model a little bit for something like a duplex, which gives a little more flexibility, but as you can see here, the emphasis is still on living at that property, and either renting out the other side as a short-term rental, renting out an ADU as the short-term rental, and just simply coming in once a year, getting your annual permit, doing a quick review, paying your, whatever the annual permit fee is, and then you're on your way. We also wanted to cover multifamily residences, and then I'm going to just jump ahead to mixed-use buildings as well. Both of these, the idea still would be that if you could have someone living on site, that's a quicker administrative review and would allow for more of those rental units to be used as short-term rentals as a little bit of incentive for someone to live there, and be managing a little more self-policing. We think that the people who are living on their own property are going to be a little again, self-police a little more when it comes to like noise, cars, parties, things like that problems that people are concerned about when the issue of short-term rentals are brought up. So again, we would allow for greater density of those to incentivize people to either better utilize the existing multifamily and mixed-use buildings that we have within Kansas City. Then lastly, the T&D district, which is our traditional neighborhood development district. This is based on more building typology, the zoning district, and it would just match, whatever building type you have would just match those ones I talked about before, whether it's single family, duplex, mixed use. Now, lastly, going from level 1 to level 2, there are, what we call like an escalation clause or everything's built in that would require someone to undergo that grid review that a special use permit brings. So this could be anything from a density trigger where someone else on the block also, it has a special use another short-term rental. So if you're a remote operator and you're the only one on the block and under this, you can get an administrative review, someone else comes in, is also doing the same thing. Now both of you have to go before eventually the Board of Commissioners to get that special use permit, which involves, again, neighborhood meetings and everything like that. Again, if there's also zoning or property maintenance compliance issues, history of police calls to the property, or any other failure to meet the administrative review requirements, that could be an automatic trigger to move you up to level 2, which is the special use permit requirement. Like I said, this would be special use permits would still be reserved for offsite property owners or in areas that are experiencing a higher concentration of properties. So again, that gives a little more power back to the neighbors, like they have now, to review, understand what's going on, and then attend the neighborhood meeting and also attend public meetings, the City Planning Commission, Board of Commissioners, where they can express support or opposition to each of these special use permits individually. And again, just sort of review of the special use permit process. Like I said, there's a neighborhood meeting is required for all properties, or at least notification of all properties within 200 feet of the property that's receiving the special use permit. A new addition to this level 2 requirement that we do not currently have would be requiring anyone seeking a special use permit to also receive a lodging establishment license from the state. This would include a full home inspection that is conducted by State Department of Agriculture staff. And it's typically reserved for a boarding house, and boarding houses are considered 4 bedrooms or housing more than 4 guests. So obviously, if that is the case on its own, that would already apply. But then anyone also receiving a special use permit would have to go through that inspection as well. Again, just a higher degree of scrutiny and more safety review. So I've thrown a lot at you. I do have a couple questions or things to consider. I don't know if this meeting actually gives time for a lot of discussion right now, but we do have these slides available. So I just kind of want to bring up some scenarios that I've sort of alluded to and see how we all feel about that, or just things to think about. The first thing is this 2-tier model on itself. I mean, this is different than what we've done previously. The idea that not every special use permit would have to go, eventually before the Board of Commissioners, that some of them can be processed administratively. So the idea of, would it make sense to have this dual model? And then, what requirements would be important to keep as part of the administrative review that you also see in the special use permit process? Whether it be, requiring some sort of home inspection, requiring some sort of neighbor notification, would it be annual review, biannual review to apply, things like that. And then the second big concern that I've noticed throughout these presentations is that, the concerns of addressing density, essentially. And so right now, kind of how we use buffers and limits, as I call them. So right now, the proposal would be, to have the buffer would be a single block. And so you can have one short-term rental that's non-owner occupied within that block. And that would be the limit, would be 1. So you got, each block is their own buffer. Each, one short-term rental would be the limit. And then so ideally, if a second short-term rental came in, that would increase the density past the point that we'd be comfortable with for administrative review. They're both off to, or the second one, I should say, is off to do a special use permit. And I can get back to those slides in a second, but I just want to sort of address what our next steps are. We are hoping we're going to do 1 or 2 more neighborhood meetings, and then we are hoping to present a full draft later on in February, maybe into early March, before the relevant committee. So that's our standing committee, City Planning Commission, and then eventually, upon approval or recommendation of approval, moves to the Board of Commissioners. So I do want to send this back to Kayla. I know we have a tight agenda. Do we have time for any questions, or otherwise I do have my contact information here if anyone wants to reach out to me.
Yeah, I think we have time for a few questions. I know I saw Walter on the screen here raise his hand. Did you have something that you wanted to ask or comment?
It's Pam Blood, and I'm aware of a woman who older, she probably is in her late 70s, maybe her 80s, who rents out rooms. She has done this for years, and she's partly handicapped, and she does it to make ends meet. And I'm wondering if this would affect what she does.
Yes, that's a very good question. So actually, this would allow her to do simply an administrative review, because technically right now, if she's renting these rooms for less than 30 days at a time, she would technically need to get a special use permit. So this would allow her to use her home, to make ends meet, extra income. It would just be a simple administrative review. So it would make it easier for her.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, we can mute again. Actually, she doesn't do it. I didn't think about that.
Was there anybody else either on Zoom or in person here that had questions or comments?
I have a question. 2 questions. Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes, I can, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. 2 questions. Currently in the online process, are they collecting and remitting hotel guest tax?
Yes, that is still a question that I've contacted our Treasury Department and have not heard back about exactly how that's being collected. I have been told by property owners that is addressed by the third-party website, whether it's Airbnb, VRBO, whoever they go through. I guess the service they offer is that they handle that. How that's making its way back to the UG, I do not know at this point, and that's still something that we need to figure out.
I mean, I hope we can, close that loop and have that answer. The secondary question is, if not, that homeowner is paying personal property tax, real estate tax, like we all are. Is there any consideration for that property, whatever it is? As you say, it could be a single family, it could be a multifamily, and it looks like even mixed use. If that property somehow has a nonprofit tax exemption on real estate, now we're getting nothing. So I would want us to look at, how is it being taxed at the current moment, in addition to the other things you are looking at, because in that case, then if we're having a hard time identifying hotel guest tax payment, and now we also have a property owned by a nonprofit that actually has a tax exemption, now we have this activity going on in our neighborhood with no stream of revenue coming into the unified government to help pay for all the services that go along with that. So
absolutely, yes. And I believe that would be another question that I would have for the Treasury Department about how, or maybe even for legal, about how that's addressed. But yes, that's definitely a consideration worth noting and worth addressing in our code.
All right, we could probably take one more with our time that we have, and I see that Chandra has her hand raised.
Good morning. Yes, I've got a question about the neighborhood notification. Can you talk a little bit more about what that entails?
Yeah, so currently, most planning entitlements, including all special use permits, so this would be every short-term rental right now, is required to send out letters to the identified property owner of every parcel within 200 feet of the property that's receiving the special use permit. So that is identified on the planning's mapping system. We then use information from the appraiser's office about who the current property owner is and where and what their mailing address is, and we provide that all to the applicant who's looking to get the special use permit. And then they send out letters, and they have 3 options to have a neighborhood meeting in person, either, at the property or at a nearby, community center or something. They can also do a one-time meeting, video conferencing like we're doing right now, or they have an option that was started kind of when the COVID pandemic began, to give a phone number and an email address, sort of like how I have here. Where they would give more explanation in the letter itself, and say, I'm running I want to run a short-term rental. It's going to be, a 3-bed, 2-bath. I wouldn't be allowing more than 6 guests, and we'd only be doing it on weekends and maybe Friday and Monday on either side. If you have any questions or comments, please call me, please email me, and we have a set date that this all has to be done by before it can go before its respective commissions. But that is the requirement we have for providing notice to the neighbors within close proximity, as identified by 200 feet.
Okay, well, what I think would be helpful in addition to that is once it gets approved, if then a notification went out to the neighbors to say, yes, this has been approved, in the event that, if there's high traffic or what have you, this property is being used as short-term rental.
Yes, and there is a notice that comes from the planning department after approval as well, and that stipulates the conditions of approval. Yes, because some of the conditions we have is say there can, this is a high density area, you can't have more than 2 cars because that's all you can fit on this driveway, and so if someone's showing up with 3-4 cars, that would be a violation of the conditions of approval. And so that would, and that's why we send it to the neighbors, so they understand the conditions under which that short-term rental can operate. So I guess, Chandra, a follow-up question for you. So I know you were asking sort of about the process now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking, is this something that you would like to see for both kind of this level 1 administrative review and level 2, or was this more of a question just about the special use permit process?
I think both would be helpful.
Okay.
I think I'm in the Turner area, and so from my perspective, it would be helpful if I knew a particular house in my neighborhood was a short-term rental. So if there was, mass traffic, not mass, but more than typical, I would know what's going on. Not that it's, something bad is happening or, criminal activity or anything else. I just know that, okay, there might be more traffic there than other times.
Okay, so even like a post-approval notice of just, hey, heads up, neighbors, they're,
Yep.
This person's using their, their back couple rooms for short-term rental.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. If you have further questions, take note of Michael's information there. And if there's future updates or anything like that, we can also have him back to give us some more information. So I really thank you for your presentation, Michael. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. And I will be putting these slides up on the planning webpage as well, in case you need to access it later. So I can send that out, send it around. We can figure out how to get everyone those slides as well.
Absolutely.
That works. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so our next part of the meeting agenda here is updates. I have a list of people. If you are either here or are a representative from the office, we'll have updates. If you can keep them brief yet informative, Ideally, I put down 3 minutes. I'm obviously not holding people to exact times, but just general information. So first up, we have the mayor's office. There a representative from the mayor's office?
Yes, good morning. Ariana King here. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, for some reason I had to join from my phone. So, okay, good deal. I'm really glad to see everyone. I look forward to joining you all in person in these next couple of months. So good morning, everyone. My name is Ariana King. I'm the Community Engagement Advisor for Mayor Garner. And we have a lot of exciting things coming up here pretty quickly. For the first thing I'll share with you all is the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. That will be happening next month in February, Monday, February 27th. It'll be early, 7 a.m. to 8:30. It is open to the public, and this year it is free of charge, but we are requiring registration. And so there's an Eventbrite link that will be going out to all of our circles between our UG communications, and I'll be sharing with Kayla as well here before the end of this week with just more information about that. And we hope everyone can get signed up and join us for a morning of fellowship and solidarity, and really bringing a lot of different faiths. As we know, Wyandotte County is very diverse. And so we want to make sure that we reference all of our diverse religions and faith-based communities, as well as, our community partners. So that'll be upcoming again, Monday, February 27th. And then another thing I'd like to share with you all, the senior tax rebate program hosted by the UG Clerk's Office is still happening throughout the tax season, so up until March 31st. Traditionally, in years past, residents will come down to the clerk's office here at City Hall on the 3rd floor and process those either homestead or utility rebates. But this year, they've really created a system to actually go out into the community and assist residents with processing those applications on site. So each of the community centers here in Wyandotte County, along with the Annex Building and Windmill Coffee Shop out in Turner, all have a continuous weekly schedule that the clerk's office team goes out and, for 3 to 4 hours each day, assist residents with filling out those applications. So if you know anyone in your neighborhoods or within your church communities that may qualify for that, I highly suggest trying to get some of that money back, right? And so the mayor's office, in support of that, will be hosting some resource fairs in the month of February and March. And more details will come of that. That will simply be an opportunity for residents that come out to get their rebate process. They'll also be able to get resources relevant to our senior population. And the last thing I will share with you all, I'm working closely with Kayla on this, but we're very much in the beginning stages of creating what would be considered an icon award. And it would be an opportunity for neighborhood members, neighborhood group leaders to nominate someone from their community in or outside of their actual neighborhood group, right? That they think is an outstanding resident, that they think is doing amazing things in their community and needs to be highlighted and recognized. That's certainly important for all of us to kind of continue this spirit of community and moving forward unified after the pandemic. And so more details will come of that, but that's something to just think about, as well as for Women's History Month in March, we'll do the same concept of a Woman of the Year award as well. And so more details of how to nominate someone in the community, again, that you think is deserving of acknowledgement. We really look forward to honoring them throughout 2023. So that is all of the updates I have for now. And Kayla, thank you and welcome.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so next up we have the Sheriff's Department.
All right, where do you stand? Here?
Well, yeah. Okay. I think they can see you there.
All right. Well, it's good to see everybody here, everybody on Zoom land or whatever. I don't have a whole lot, because my main goal is to be shorter than DJ Dupree. And so just a couple of things. Obviously, we are still hiring. We have had an adjustment to our pay scale, which went into effect January 1st. And so we're super excited about that. And we are setting our calendar for 2023. Last year we did 4 joint events with the police department and some different parks here in the area. And so I think that's probably something you'll see again. But on top of that, we had one event at the pool last year, looking at doing 2 of those instead of just 1. And then anything else that your groups are doing that you might want us to come out to, either, to just be there and be engaged with an event you're doing, or if your group wants me to come out and speak, we can definitely do either and or both. The summer calendar fills up pretty quick. So I would say if you have something and you're interested in having us, sooner the better to get that on the calendar. But otherwise, I would take any questions you might have.
Spring event on Thursday last week.
We did.
Did you get some folks?
We did. So I guess I can kind of tell you where we're at. So you know, our numbers have been 2, 3, 4 at these events. We had a spike. We had about 19 in process, which is a lot for us. And we've lost several through background. But we had a lateral class we're starting this in February, and then a full class that we plan to start in March. And if numbers keep going the way they're going, we can have a pretty good sized class. We have started to see people just walking in to the hiring events, which is exciting too. And we'll keep posting those events on Facebook and social media as we do them. But yeah, the big takeaway from that is when you see one of those events posted, all you have to do is bring your driver's license and come down and see us, and we can get a lot of the process knocked out in one day. There's some things we just can't do that quick, but we can do quite a bit of it. And so friends, family, you know, I joke that I don't care if you like them as long as we do. So you know, send everybody you know that might be interested, and we'll keep going at it. We are doing some Saturday events, and then the other ones are Thursdays. So trying to capture people that maybe have work schedule conflicts.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anything else?
Any questions from the Zoom folks? All right, well, thank you.
You bet.
Yeah. All right, District Attorney's Office.
All right, let me talk as I move. I'm going to get closer so you won't hurt your neck as you turn it around toward me while yet being over on the side, trying to make sure everyone can see me. This is okay?
Yep.
Okay, real quickly, understanding the challenge of trying to beat Sheriff's Optic. Let me move quickly here. A couple of things. One, is awesome to be back with you guys in person. Number two, the hiring situation is the same across everywhere. At one point in the last 2 years, we have been down up to 8 attorneys, even 9. We have a total of 26 attorneys, only 24 of those go into the courtroom. And so at one point we were literally at around 12 to 13 attorneys handling the volume of cases that we have. Having said that, we are the most violent volume of cases in the state of Kansas. And so for our size, and so we were struggling with that. However, COVID is kind of moving past, and one of the biggest struggles that folks have dealt with is facing the reality that law enforcement and prosecuting attorneys have to come in person. You have to be in court. We can't do everything on Zoom. And so getting those folks out of their homes when you have jobs as attorneys where they'll pay you about $50,000 more to sit in your living room on your computer has been a struggle. Having said that, we have gotten our numbers back up. We're now down, I believe, just 2 attorneys. We're having just hired 4 in the recent couple of weeks, and just did a 4-person boot camp or training yesterday in our office. And we have a couple more that we know that will be joining us in a couple months. And so I say all of that to give kudos to all of the assistant district attorneys who have stuck with us through COVID and didn't just quit because of the mandate that you got to come back to the office. When the court opened back up, I had to tell all of my staff, you got to come back in. And that wasn't the same across the board because others was able to stay at home. And so we lost some in that struggle, and we lost some because of fear of having to come back around. And so we absolutely respect those decisions. The other area that we lost people were to and was to Johnson County District Attorney's Office, Steve Howe. I call him by name, and I seen him just the other day, and I talked about him real bad. They offered 3 of my attorneys an additional $30,000 to come out there, and you know, I couldn't compete with it. Now I compete a little bit with it. We found some change, and we gave everyone a little bit of raise and tried to do something, but I couldn't across the board find $30,000 for everyone. And so, you know, the way that we do things in our office, we have a diverse community, and we have a diverse layout of crimes, sadly. But having said that, as an attorney in our office, you're going to get quite a bit of experience. And so folks see that, and they know that assistant district attorneys in Wyandotte County can handle any case across the globe. And so in my tenure in the last 6 years, we've had Lawrence, Missouri, Johnson County, and Wichita take some of our attorneys. And though in one case, you know, they make me sick for doing that. On the other case, you know, we found ourselves on the back because we produced a pretty darn good attorney. So, but we're moving that back up. Next is concerning our community liaison boards. I want everyone that is here, everyone that's on Zoom, please go to our website, sign up for the community liaison board, as well as our faith-based liaison board, so that you can be involved and you can have discussions with us concerning the things that we are doing and any questions that you may have on things that we will be doing in the future. I utilize those boards as a soundboard to talk about things that we are working with, things that we are doing, things that you all find important that we need to attack in the DA's office that we may not see from our perspective. And so if you want to have a voice in the criminal justice process, please join on that board so that your voice can be heard and we can have real discussions. And then the two more things, we are starting our youth court for our schools. Our programs will begin with, I believe, Wyandotte High School, as well as Schlegel. Schlegel and Wyandotte will be the two schools that we start with youth court, and that will be jumping off hopefully here within the next couple of months. We're working with UMKC and their students, graduate students, along with school board and Judge York and the juvenile court to get this up and going, along with the school boards. I know District 500 has been in attendance with these meetings, and we are trying to make this happen to give our youth an alternative. The data shows that any interaction with the courts is negative on students. So the youth courts will actually be in the schools so that we can try to keep them away from the courthouses, hopefully as long as possible. Lastly, concerning our digitalization of all of our files, including the Galewski files and the past 60 years of files, update all 4,725 boxes of files going back to 1938, I believe, have all been removed from our office and from the old jail, and they are now in the experts' hands as that digitalization process is ongoing. And so that process is going to take up to 12 to 18 months to get to the digitalization, but the main goal was getting all of it out of here so that we can stop any further deterioration of the files in the conditions that it was in. So many thanks and kudos to all of the workers in my office, and kudos to the commission and to all of the commissioner staff for working with us to make that happen for a very long overdue, very much so appreciated process. I think the sheriff may have gotten me this time, but I'm humble enough to accept it. I'm done. Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions in here?
Thank you.
All right. We have the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. All right, the Kansas City, Kansas Fire Department. All right.
John's on there.
Oh, John's
trying to say something.
Oh, but is he muted?
I hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. trying to use a different microphone because everybody says I echo too much in this office, but I'll go back to the other one. I got a couple of quick stats for you. We're still rounding everything up from 2022. Last year was our busiest year so far. We ran 34,700 calls. 24,700 of them were for medical calls. And then a few stats I pulled that might be interesting to the public. We had 808 false alarms. Those seem to be increasing. So I'm trying to work with the alarm coordinator to find out if we can start assessing fines to those because they're starting to proliferate. People aren't taking care of their alarm systems. 423 calls were for food on the stove. So people that walk away from their stove while they're cooking, those technically weren't house fires. I have those stats, but we do have a lot of food on the stove ones. So be careful when you're cooking. And then 567 illegal burns that we responded to have to deal with. We did have a fatality fire last week, early last week. It was last weekend. And we're pretty confident we're attributing that to space heater non-compliance. So they had combustibles near it. I will send Kayla a National Fire Protection Association PSA about home heating. And it's just a one-page one she can include in the weekly documents to stress the safety around home heating appliances and what you need to do to make sure you're safe. Let's see, the other stats from last year, we had eight civilian fatalities. That's been our highest number in probably 8 years or 9 years. 40 civilian injuries and 14 firefighter injuries dealing with structure fires. The structure fires, the fires that we investigate that we report to the state are residential, commercial, and vehicle, 429 of them. 42% of those we've classified as arson or incendiary that we try to find the people responsible for. And last year we sent 11 arrest affidavits to the DA's office for prosecution. That's where we're at now.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments? No, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Neighborhood Resource Center.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to continue the theme of talking a little bit about staffing. You know, it's not all bad. Kayla's proof of that. We had some great applicants for that position, and I believe she has some great applicants for her neighborhood liaison position she's currently going through to fill, which we hope will happen soon. We've also had really good luck with changing direction and the way we approached it, filling our commercial plans examiner position. But one area we're really struggling with that affects our community more is in our property maintenance compliance office. We are still down 6 inspectors. And it seems like when we make some movement, positive movement, we bring one on, we have one that moves on to what they think are greener pastures. So I'm just going to kind of throw just a quick challenge out to everybody. If you know anybody at all that is interested in an interesting job, that you will see here things that you would never expect, both good and bad. You have to work with a lot of community partners in that position, whether it be the police department, public works, you know, everybody throughout the UG to solve problems. Send them our way. We would love to see a lot more applications at least, and we can talk about it with them. And if we can come to terms, then that's great. But we definitely need that help, and we're moving into summer, our busy season. And we would like to get a few more bodies in place to help, you know, try to improve our environment, our community. So that's all.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions there? Okay, so we have next is KCK School District USD 500.
Hello and good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone again. Uh-oh, we have feedback. Okay, it's good to see everyone again. I just want to introduce another staff member of mine to you, Marco Johnson. He's been with us since May. And the other staff member that you met not too long ago was Francisco Vittorio. Marco, is your mic on? Yes. You probably won't go mute until I'm done. Okay, there we go. He was at the last meeting, I believe, and you met him, and he's in Topeka now today, so couldn't be online. But I want to introduce you to Marco, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. He's not a stranger to Wyandotte County or KCK, and then he's going to share a few stories, and then I'm going to close it with the video.
Good morning, everyone. I've got a little feedback, but I'll power through that. Again, my name is Marco Johnson. I am a native of Kansas City, Kansas. Graduated from Wyandotte High School in 1984. Once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog. My parents live right off of 10th and Quindaro. Edwin just mentioned that I've been a newcomer to the organization. I started back in May, and I'm the communications and marketing director. One of my main tasks is to promote the district, and there's a lot of great things going on here in KCKPS. The one way you can find out about that is to go to our website, kckschools.org. We've got a lot of great stories on there. We have what's called our newsroom. It's got all these great stories about what's going on in the district. Just a week or so ago, Mayor Garner, he visited J.C. Harmon High School basketball team. He gave an impassioned speech about not only about basketball, but about life. And I was able to capture that story. I was in the locker room with him. It turned out to be a really nice story, and you can find that on our website. There's a lot of great things going on in the district, and I don't want you to miss out on them. So please, if you have a chance, bookmark kckschools.org, and you'll see some great things happening. And I'll turn it back over to Edwin.
Okay. Marco, you can put your microphone on mute. There we go. We're gonna have to fix that. So, as you mentioned, all of the stories that were taking place, Marco, we have a career fair coming up, don't we? I'm
unmuting, so yes, we have a huge career fair. It's Saturday, February 11th from 8:30 to noon right here at our central office. We're looking for teaching and non-teaching positions. If you know someone who's interested in education, this is a great opportunity. Our HR department, they are working nonstop to make this a success. And as everyone's been mentioning earlier in this meeting, the numbers are low when it comes to hiring folks. So it's across the board and everywhere you go, and law enforcement, education, even in the district attorney's office. So this is not new, but there are good people out there, and that's our goal, is to attract great people for this district.
Okay, thank you, Marco. And I just want to close out quickly. If, in case you missed it, Ed Asner's son visited Wyandotte High School, and I don't know if I have the capability of sharing. Can you allow me to share a video? Is that possible?
Yeah, just a second here.
Okay.
Oh shoot. If I can click the right buttons, I can.
It's just a short video. And sometimes talking about it, I mean, seeing the pictures and seeing the video kind of helps tell the story a lot better.
Okay, I may do the co-host, so you should now have sharing privileges.
Okay, thank you. Yes, here we go. Can you see that?
Ed Asner was a student at Wyandotte High School. He walked these hallways. He wasn't exactly sure what he wanted to do in life. He didn't know he wanted to be that actor when he was your age. He started to think he kind of liked it, but he got involved in school activities to kind of figure that out too. His family came in and donated to the school, gifted to the school the opportunity for us to have one of his Golden Globes.
This is his Golden Globe for Lou Grant, Best Television Actor Drama Series. Lou
Oh, I think you muted yourself and we can't hear anymore. Not able to hear the video anymore.
It's been muted.
I think it's because everyone's muted. It's playing on his computer.
I don't think so. Well, maybe Crystal.
Okay, I just got a text that said you guys couldn't hear the video. So what I'll do is I'll send a link to it. So I don't know why you weren't able to hear it. I apologize. Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. We can share out a link to the video so everybody can watch it.
Okay, I apologize for that, but that's just one example of many of things that are going on in our district, and I just wanted to share that because he was a really proud graduate of Wyandotte High School and also a proud resident of KCK in Wyandotte County. Thanks, you all.
All right, thank you. Okay, so next we have Turner School District.
That is me. I'll move kind of in the view of the camera here. My name is Lauren Alio. I do public relations for the Turner School District. And so just a few things for you guys. All those of you that are struggling with staffing, I have some good news. We're having a career fair at our high school for our high school students. And we are really trying to keep it to just Wyandotte County and KCK businesses, try to keep, the talent here where we're at. And so it will be on March 22nd in the morning. Maybe I can have Kayla drop my email address in the chat. If you have a business or organization looking for some employees, send me an email and I can send you the sign up link. So that's exciting. Also, some exciting news for our district. We had 2 Horizon Award winners this year. So this is an award given by the Kansas State Department of Education for exemplary first-year teachers who are now in their 2nd year of teaching. Of all the teachers that are submitted by all the districts across the state, only 32 are chosen, and both our elementary and secondary nominees were selected. So something we're really proud of. We found that out in January, great way to start the year. Those of you who utilize the Turner Aquatic Center at Turner High School, we are going to be closing that pool this summer for some repair and improvement. So it's a bummer that we have to close it, but the facilities are going to be so much better at the end of the summer once those improvements are done. Let's see what else. We have a new State Board of Education representative due to redistricting. So Janet Waugh represented our district at the state board level for many, many years. And we have a new representative, Melanie Haas. And so we're looking forward to working with her. She's gonna come to our district on Monday actually and get a tour from students. So those of you who know Janet and have worked with Janet, we were sad to see her go, but excited to work with Melanie. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. I was warned that I should keep people tight to their time limit, but we got a few more updates here. We've got BPU next.
Hello, this is David Melhoff, Chief Communications Officer, BPU. I'll be very, very brief, couple of things, and I'll send links and phone numbers in the chats here when I'm done. There's some energy assistance programs out there at the state level. More and more federal funds are coming in at the state level for energy assistance. The one, and these are programs that have been around quite some time, but they have more dollars this year than we normally have as a result of some of the federal funds coming in. The first one is the home weatherization program. This is for those that might not be able to afford upfront costs of weathering their home. So if you qualify, they will pay for a home energy audit. And after the audit, they'll sit with the homeowner and go through weatherization programs that they recommend. And then the bulk of the weatherization will be paid for through these funds. So it is free. We've got some older homes in our community. I know we have some homes that are poorly insulated, maybe have some drafty windows. And so this program is from the U.S. Department of Energy. They help folks get weatherization programs annually. And it is for those that are lower income. They get the home energy audit and all that. So there's a number that I'm going to put out there on the chats, and it's through ECKAN, ECKAN.org. And so that is the Department of Energy folks at the state level that do that program. So I'll send the link and the phone number as soon as I'm done, so you have that. That's for weatherization and audits. Then the other is the LEAP program. That's Low Income Energy Assistance Program. That's every year. They've got more dollars right now. That's a one-time fund that a person can get if they are elderly, low income, older adults with families with children. Those are the primary groups that are assisted. There's a number to call and a web link to go on to fill out the form, see if you're qualified, and they'll take care of your bills there. So I think it's really fabulous, both of them, and I encourage you to spread the word to the herd, so to speak, and let people know what's going on out there. BPU has not had an electric rate increase for quite some time. Don't anticipate one, but I do know that natural gas prices have gone through the roof. So we try to let people know about energy assistance programs as best as we can, and find ways that you can save energy. So so I'm going to put those links on there. I think Crystal McFetters put the one out there right away in the weatherization program. Thank you, Miss McFetters. And then I will send the other one out here as soon as I'm done. Also, I'm available, or I can find people that I work with that are available to speak now to neighborhood groups sometimes. So you can get a hold of me through the Public Affairs Office at BPU. Livable Neighborhoods knows how to get a hold of me. Kayla, I wish I was there in person to meet you. I look forward to getting together with you in the very near future. And I intend to make the next meeting Livable Neighborhoods in person rather than Zoom. Although you all look great on TV, but it'd be nice to see you in person. Any questions for me before I pass the baton? All right. Be blessed. Have a great weekend, and go Chiefs.
I did see one question in the chat. I'm not sure if you have the answer. Can applicants of home weatherization qualify more than one time?
It is no, it is a one-time, once per year, the way it's set up. However, what they do is if you qualify, low income, elderly, they'll do the audit. Then they'll say, here's what we need to do. And so they're going to recommend to get all that weatherization done at one time. And I think they have different agencies and folks they work with that will then, take care of those costs for the homeowner. So it isn't something you can keep going throughout the year. It's once a year type of program. And I think they're trying to cover as many bases as they can. So what they'll do is once that audit's done, they'll say, hey, you need some insulation. You need some, and I know they've done insulation. I know they've replaced windows for some homeowners. They've done pretty extensive things, and sometimes things are pretty simple too. So it's worth the shot. No, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Livable Neighborhoods and Health Department next. The Health Department couldn't make it, so they gave me some updates. So I'll read theirs. Flu season seemed to have peaked last month, but it's never too late to get your flu shot if you haven't already. They continue to keep a watchful eye on the newly emerging COVID variants. The most recent variants are more contagious and easily spreadable, but our vaccines are still providing good protection against death and hospitalizations. If you're not up to date on your COVID vaccines, it's not too late to do so. There have been a few cases of Mpox in Wyandotte County. The health department is providing Mpox vaccines. I'm not sure how to say the vaccine name, so I'm not going to try, but vaccines for that to individuals who are or could be at risk. For more information, you can visit the Wyandotte County government's health department alert page. They also have several community partners who continue to assist with distributing free over-the-counter COVID test kits. Free kits are available while supplies last. If you'd like to be on the list of community partners who assist us with distribution, the contact is Wendy Dorbratz. And then our current list that has testing, we have some here at the Livable Neighborhoods office. And then I have a whole list of other places that have them, and we can send that out with the minutes as well. And then of course, if you have any questions about vaccines, influenza, COVID, Mpox vaccines, feel free to call them at 913-573-8815, but I'll send out the full information for that. Livable Neighborhoods, I don't have any major updates other than I'm here. Thank you to everybody who's wished me well and been so kind in welcoming me. I really hope that we can do great things together and I can be a resource for you all in the community. So feel free to reach out to me with anything, and I'll do my best to help you out. We are past time, but if there's any community announcements that are, pressing, feel free to speak up. If there's something you just want me to send out with the minutes after the meeting, you can send me an email and we can include that information. Does anybody else have anything they need to add quickly here at the end? Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Hi, everyone. I'm Denise Dias from the Wyandotte County Extension Office. Two things real quick. We are having a brainstorming lunch session for people in our Black and African American community in March. If there's any interest, you want to come and have lunch and give us a couple hours of your time and talk about nutrition and health, we'd love to have you. Of course, I can share that information with Kayla, and for the folks here, I do have flyers. The second thing I would like to offer to the neighborhood task force is that Extension does have a program for leadership development for boards. So helping board members and committees, to function better. So if that's something that people in the community or maybe your neighborhood board would be interested, please reach out to me because I would love to share that information with you.
Thank you. Thank you. It looks like we have Alyssa with her hand up.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Alyssa. I am the long range planner from the Planning and Urban Design Department at the UG. I just a couple of updates for you. We have a bunch of different planning initiatives that are launching this year. One is the economic development strategy. We are currently kind of in transition, and the economic development department is sort of housed under planning at the moment. So we have chosen a consultant for that. And that should launch soon, but we also have a comprehensive plan update, a housing strategy. I'm sure I'm forgetting others, and a historic preservation plan. So all of that will be launched this year. We're all going to try to be as cohesive as we can with all of the public engagement, so we do not exhaust the public, and also so we keep everything unified. The other thing that I'll mention is I have also taken over the brownfields program. So any property that requires remediation for a development, there is a good chunk of money available for that. For example, our priority project right now is the Northeast Grocers and Northeast KCK that will be benefiting from that, but there are more available funds. So if there are any projects anyone is aware of, please reach out to me. I can put my information in a chat or send it on over. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's see. I don't see any other hands up. Again, you can contact me with any information you want to make sure gets sent out. All right, so thank you all for coming. We will continue this meeting. We'll have another one next month on the 4th Thursday of the month, which is, I believe, the 23rd of February. It seems like this hybrid option worked for folks, so we'll try it again next month. And feel free to come in person or online and let me know if there is anything else you need. Oh, who do we contact for board leadership training? Is that Denise?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
We'll get that information out.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you all. And we will talk next month, if not before.
Thanks.